welcome to episode 88 of TerrorVision horror podcast, The Spoilercast. I'm one of your hosts, Dan McGuinness, and joining me on our midnight meat train is my co-host, Jennifer, the Dream Warrior Strand.
Oh, woo! That was my werewolf.
Oh, yeah.
My werewolf house.
Each fortnight, Jennifer and I set ourselves a horror movie to watch, and then we go through it scene by scene and spoil the fuck out of it and pull it apart and show how shit it is most of the time. It's a deep dive into glorious gore, hard edits, cheesy acting, directing madness, severed wangs, and compound fractures. Together, me and Jen are two people who love horror. We love it so much that you can't even understand it. Like, it bleeds out of our pores, and semen comes out of our pores, which is horror-coloured. And then I've lost where I'm up to.
Oh, you feel the burn of our obsolete Blockbuster / Movieland membership cards.
Exactly. But we also have a rating system at the end of it. So you're like, did they like it? Was it shit? You know, so you're not left with your severed dick in your hand, splinting everywhere. What is our...
It's true. We do spend a lot of time ragging on something only to find out that we loved it or actually hated it. You never can tell with us. But we have the A... is awesome, everybody should watch. B is our beer and chicken wing group movie. F is fun and dumb. C is a classic that's worth a watch. U is underrated. O, an overrated motherfucker. G, good for its time but is not held up. We've got the J, Jen special, a D grade movie only I would like. We've got a D, Dan special, a movie with lots of practical effects, dismemberments, and dicks.
Yep.
We've got the W, whatever. We've got the Kesha, low budget hot mess. C minus, craft is stellar but I hate the content. And of course, the McConaughey, which is the fucking fucked. We watched it. You don't have to.
And this week... my choice. Was this my choice? It was.
This was your choice,
yeah. The Howling from 1981. I chose this purely on the fact that it was one of those movies that, you know, I would go to the video shop as a kid. I would see the cover. I'd pick it up. I'd look at the back and stuff like that. And I never watched it, but it was always there. And of course, I get it always confused with the movie In Company of Wolves with the lady with the
elongated snout.
The snout coming out of her mouth.
Yeah.
So that was my choice. I had no idea. I hadn't seen it. Yeah.
I thought I had seen it, and then I was watching it, and I'm like, I fucking haven't seen any. I don't know what this is.
In Company of Wolves.
I probably have.
Or American.
Or it's something.
And what are its vital statistics?
All right,
Jen,
so it's directed by Joe Dante, who also did Gremlins, which we love. We love Gremlins.
Gremlins was like 85, 6, was it?
Yeah,
so
it's 85 or 87. I can't remember.
Yeah, way before Gremlins.
Yeah. Screenplay by John Sayles, which he also just did, he wrote the screenplay for Alligator, which was our spoiler movie last time.
Oh, dear.
So that's already painting you a word picture. And also Terrence H. Winkless. It stars Dee Wallace.
He has no eyelids, that guy.
He has none. It stars Dee Wallace, who is, in her own right, a scream queen. We've got Dennis Diggin and Dick Miller. I had to put Dick Miller in there because I love Dick Miller. Budget was $1.5 million and the box office was 17.9. So this is a big old success.
Yeah, right.
A big old success.
That actually is a shock to me.
Why, Dan? Why is that a shock to you?
We'll get into that. What's its tagline and synoppo?
Right.
Video shop synoppo.
Imagine your worst fear a reality.
Okay.
After a bizarre near-fatal encounter with a serial killer, a newswoman is sent to a rehabilitation center whose inhabitants may not be what they seem.
Bomb, bomb, bomb. Okay, so this film, it starts.
It does. Like every other film, it starts.
It starts with its highest, best point is the credits. It has like, imagine it has like black screen and has these nice big red credits that come up. They look cool. It has, you know, fitting kind of horror-y music. And in the background, it has like static or video blur, like VHS kind of stuff ups and stuff. But it's really, it's just got a tint on it. Like it's been desaturated down to just one core blue. So you got this red credits over this hot neon blue static, which is flickering on and off, and I know it didn't have music. It had like just clippets of like sound bites and shit like that, and it just looked hot. And it was like crisp, and I was like, That's good. We're in for a fucking... This is going to be great if it maintains this, like, level of awesomeness. And it didn't. Not one bit.
So we basically start out, we are watching a doctor.
First, wait. Oh, I forgot.
No, go.
Then the Howling title comes up.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, woo, the Howling.
Yeah.
And then, but they've done that thing where they've printed it onto a bit of glass and they smash it from the backside.
Yes.
Like the glass, and then it goes into this next. And I was like, yeah, man.
I like that. That was very sort of Friday the 13th-esque.
Yeah, or the thing where they burn the garbage bag.
Oh, yeah. No, I like that because you got that nice little title
practical
sequence.
Title effects. I'm always a fan.
Yeah. It makes me happy.
So we're already up there. We're like, oh man, this is going to be sick. Have I not watched this? Have I not watched the first 2 minutes of this film?
How have I never seen this title sequence before? Well, it starts off in a TV station. There is a doctor being interviewed, and he's talking about repression, denying the beast within, and blah, 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 blah. But in between all this happening and this guy being interviewed on TV, there is a woman who is sort of walking down a red light in the red light district. She's walking down an alley. She gets stopped by some jerk. He kind of recognizes her. He's like, "Hey, you're that lady on TV, ain't you?" And
that's kind of also like juxtaposed to this shot of like some TV station dudes.
Yeah.
Working on something, and we've got some detectives there, and then you quickly realise that she has a wiretap on.
Yeah.
And she's out investigating journalism.
She's journalisting like there's no tomorrow.
So she's out on the hard streets of the red light district.
Yeah.
And this is where we're introduced to her. Her name is Karen.
Yes.
Of course it is.
Karen, played by Dee Wallace. So she ducks into a phone booth. The phone rings. She answers it. And of course, as she's talking on the phone, the frequency that is the people, the detectives and other journalists that are listening to her in their safe place, it's all crackling. They're not getting what's being said.
And their excuse was, I think the neon is interfering with it. I'm like, how the fuck does neon interfere with... And why aren't you in a van?
Yeah, I know.
Why aren't you closer?
I would be in a van.
Or just closer.
I want to be in a van.
They're
I want a stakeout
van. TV station. They're relying on...
Which is probably like a couple of miles down the road.
It'd be fine if they had like, the aerials that they had in like, what's his name? What's that one? They Live, whatever.
Yeah.
They just, that one TV antenna that could just do the whole
just
entire
does
world.
Everything. Yeah. So this is all happening.
But she's getting a call from this person who's like a creep.
Yeah.
And like, we're obviously like, we're supposed to assume this is like who they're after or something. And I just called him the creep.
Yeah.
Like, because I was like, they didn't really... There was a lot of... you had to assume what was going on in this movie, which is fine a lot of the time. But there was also a lot of things in this film that I didn't realise writing my notes, which was relevant to the story, but seemed irrelevant at the time. And I don't know if that's good or bad. It makes it hard to write notes, that's for sure.
Oh, it does, because like...
And then I'm like, because that you mentioned the TV interview. I didn't even write that.
Yeah.
I was just like, I just write opens to some guy on telly.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise later he's going to become a major character. And I'm like, oh, I should have maybe listened.
Well, there's all these very little things. And at that time, I'm like, yeah, that's not relevant. And then later on, I'm like, oh, fuck.
Anyhow,
okay.
Back to Karen.
It's
She's
fine.
in the phone booth. She's talking to this dude. The monitor team, they've lost signal.
lost her.
They can't hear her at all. She doesn't know that. She still thinks she has the safety of Moustache Man. Mm-hmm. So we're introduced to Moustache Man, who is, what was his name?
I think his name was Bill.
Was it?
Yeah. The moustache guy was Bill, because it's her husband.
Yeah, it's her husband, who also works, he's her producer or something
He's
like that.
He's not even that.
Yeah, we don't.
Like, it's revealed, like, partway through the film that he owns, like, a sporting, like a gym.
I thought he was lying. I thought he was, like, undercover.
Maybe.
Exactly. We don't know. He has a moustache. That's all Didn't you call him something?
I did. I called him the poor man's Tom Atkins.
Which is true. Like, I was getting hard Atkins vibes from him. Just imagine Tom Atkins with a Beatles haircut.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of guy. That rules. So this is an 80s film, but it screams the 70s.
Yeah, it does. Well, it's 1981, so I don't think the decades have sort of crossed over and said goodbye to each other.
They still had 1 year to get rid of that fucking Carps look. But anyhow, so this is all happening. We're getting nowhere.
So this is all happening in between, and then we also get this, like, one of my notes was, like, I really like this scene where there's a guy in the bathroom. So before the poor man Tom Atkins walks in, there's a guy in the bathroom, and he's like, KDHB news team began working with police, and he's, like, doing his best, like, news presentation. So him in the bathroom,
giving the backstory, practicing.
He's giving us the backstory of there is this serial killer on the loose. He's only talking to Karen on the news. He trusts her, so she's out investigating this, and this news station is getting the best. But he's got that very, like, KBDH News 101
tonight on KBD News.
But then Bill walks in and he's like, "Oh, hey, Bill, what's going on?" I'm like, yes, that's exactly what that was, just something that I liked.
Anyhow, the man on the phone, the creep, directs Karen to go to this certain joint. Like, I'll meet you at this place. And she walks down the street, and and the place he has organised to meet her is a sex shop, a red light district sleaze box.
I was in a pornography store. Yeah. I was buying pornography.
Exactly. And then I like this. As soon as Karen walks into the porn shop, there's all these dudes in there, and they're all like, "Oh, fuck, shit, a wifely looking lady busting me." And she basically clears the whole fucking store.
Yeah, they all
out.
kind of just sort of like put their porn down
they're
and
not
leave.
businessmen. They're not like greasies.
No, they're all like, she probably works with them all. It's fine.
Karen cruises down the aisles and straight into a wank booth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how does she know to go in the wank booth?
Okay, so she knows because there is a sticker. So there is a sticker, a little smiley face sticker that was on the phone booth.
Yeah.
This becomes relevant because I skipped this in all of my notes. There was a little
the
smiley
the
face
acid sticker.
Yeah, and then it was on the door of the pornography booth. So this sticker is like...
She's like,
she's following the trail of stickers.
What the hell is this, bloody orienteering?
Yes.
Anyhow, she goes into the wank booth, and then we see she sits down, and then we see from emerging from the shadows behind her, the dude is behind her, but she just kind of sits there, and he talks her up for a while. He's like, and it can only be you, Karen, blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
It's always been you, Karen.
And she still thinks that she's in the safety of, like, the net of, like, people hearing her, but she doesn't know that she's fucking alive.
No one can hear her.
And are we led to assume that the guy has done it in this spot because he knows that she would be wired, and it is like, because it just seems very...
Maybe. I don't know. Because, like, he puts a quarter in the machine and, like, a video comes up. So we get this, like, he's trying to have this conversation with her while this fucking porn is playing.
He puts the porno on, and, like, we see an actual porno.
Yeah.
Like, we see full frontal nudity in it, and it's like a rape scene, one of those old school 1970s, they always had to have rape ones. And that's clearly making her uncomfortable. We also see a moustache man, because, they've lost contact. He's ropeable. He's like, I can't handle this. And, he calls up, because he calls up the cops, and the cops are like, we'll go look for it. I mean, we've just got a call from a dude on a sports store. We better do everything he says. So the cops, and then we cut to, some cops on the street. They come into the porn store. They're looking for fucking, like, where's this fucking lady? And they're like, there's a lady come in here. And he's like, actually, a lady did come in here.
She cleared out my whole store. I've lost my business.
And then we see, we cut back to Karen and the guy in the creep in the thing. And he's like, don't turn around or whatever. We can see his shadow, and it's clearly a fucking werewolf. Yeah. There is no, like, he's turned into a...
He could have been a fairy. He could have just been wearing the ears and the something.
Yeah. He starts attacking her, and I don't understand why he attacks her and why she just didn't die. Because, like, if he's a werewolf, these werewolves just kill everyone instantly later on. Like, she somehow fends him off.
Yeah.
The cops hear him. The tussle in the back. The rookie cop runs down and just opens fire onto the wanking booth. Yeah. I'm like, what? But she was in there. They didn't even know anything. He just fucking lays a whole clip into this wank booth. Straight into the wank booth.
Blood just comes...
Semen comes out everywhere. Cause, like, years of semen loaded up.
Oh, God, that would be just... Anyhow, you wouldn't shine a black light in there.
But she's like... Luckily, she had fallen over and the werewolf man... Or the man hadn't. Yep. The creep.
So he takes all of the bullets. He's apparently dead. She's been rescued. And
then cut to a couple of days later.
She's having, she sort of wakes up on the couch from a couple of nightmares. She's having flashbacks about Eddie. We've
Eddie? Is
established
that the name of the creep?
Eddie is the creep.
Okay.
Yeah. So she starts freaking the fuck out, and of course Bill comes along and wakes her up.
Moustache man. He's like, my
Poor man's
moustache
time.
is here, don't worry.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of dream sequences in this. So when we mention dream sequence, it is just like
It's literally the same thing.
flashes back to just shots that have been in the film.
Yeah.
I think because there is a shot I saw that you posted up of Karen as a werewolf, and that doesn't happen in it.
Yes, it does.
Does
It
it?
happens at the end.
Oh, is that the shot?
Yeah.
I thought it was an earlier shot.
Oh, no, it's at the end.
Stop spoiling it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. On the Spoilercast, I've spoiled this film. So
So then we cut to who the fuck knows these characters are. You don't actually know who they are till way down the track.
I still didn't get their names.
Oh, no, you don't need to. I just called them the young... at first, I wrote that they were like... I thought these two characters worked for the TV company. No, I thought they were young detectives, 21
Yes.
Jump Street style.
They are not.
But then they mentioned... Because they were like, we got to get here before the police. Anyhow, what it is, two young up-and-coming TV journalists who work for the same company that Karen works for are out and they're investigating what's happening.
Yep.
Somehow, they have the address and apartment of the creep's house before the cops. They've gotten there a couple of days later. The cops haven't thought to look in this guy's apartment.
Hey, look, journalists have their ways.
And they're in the creep's apartment.
Yeah.
They've journalistically got their way in. They're young and they're a couple. Mm-hmm. It's all and all they are is lady journalists and man journalists. Because they are so
really
irrelevant, but they're in it so much.
They are. They play quite a part. So they're looking around the apartment and they find, it's like newspaper clippings all over the wall. It's like exactly what it's almost like
serial killer's
the
apartment.
red strings attached to everything. There's drawings all over the place, bones, totems, all this stuff.
Skulls of animals.
Yeah. So they're going through and they find like some drawings of scenery and they find a drawing of Karen.
But they also find drawings of all over the walls of werewolves, people. I'm like, wow. And they're really good drawings. They're all charcoal drawings. So there's like lots of drawings. This guy's vibe is drawings.
Yeah.
So he's done, like character sketches of all. They're probably just character sketches of the film.
Yeah, probably.
And then one of the ones that they do, like you said, they fix on is a nice ocean vista.
It's very nice
an
scenery.
oceanside vista, like a bay.
Yeah.
Very scenic. And she's like, look at this. I'm like, why would you even give a fuck about that?
That has no relevance.
Yeah.
Or does it? So they take off, they take these images and they take them to the TV psychologist who was being interviewed at the very beginning of the film.
Yes.
So he is like this. It's really funny because like while he's being interviewed, they're kind of behind the scenes making fun of him for being like a crackpot. But then they go to him and they're showing him these drawings and they're talking about the creep, saying like, this is what we found in his apartment. And of course, like during this time as well, Karen is starting to prepare herself to go back on TV. She's had a few days off work. She's
an
feeling a
anchor
bit
lady.
funny. But she's going to go on TV. She's going to give them the whole story. She's going to give the scoop and viewers and money.
And they're like, are you ready for this, Karen? She's like, yeah, I'm ready. Anyhow, 3, 2, 1, go. Karen fucking freezes. She chokes. Like the unprofessional idiot she is.
Fucking Karen.
So she chokes. They all get fucking pissed off at her. Anyhow, cut to, she goes to a psychiatrist, which happens to be the same fucking guy.
fucking
Okay, there's
doctor.
only one doctor. They call him Doc.
Yeah.
There's only one doctor in this town.
And he is he's got Sam Loomis vibes from Halloween.
Yeah.
He's just got that voice as well, that British voice. She starts explaining to him like she doesn't remember too much about the night.
Yeah,
like she's got
convenient amnesia. So it's just, I went into the booth and then nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
No.
Not enough happened to you for your mind to break.
No.
You know what I mean?
It takes a lot for a mind to break.
Yeah, like
But
she
he
just got pushed to the ground.
Yeah, and then she heard some loud bangs. That's it. But he basically suggests that, she's very overstressed and she needs some time off, and he recommends a week or two at his colony. There are seminars and group therapies.
Yeah, come to you and Moustache Man, come to my colony retreat in the woods. And I'm like, seems pretty weird and fishy. And also that he was like so emphasizing so much in his TV interview at the start about like, you know, the bridging between man and beast.
Free the beast.
Free the beast. And all this shit. And I'm like, so number one, you guys didn't trust him. You think he's a crackpot, but you go to his retreat. But he's
now this like super well-trusted doctor that they're paying all attention to.
And they drive out to the country, they hit the retreat. It's fucking in buttfuck Idaho, nowhere. There's all people there, like heaps of people.
Yeah, there's like a hoedown.
Hoedown, that's right.
It's a hoedown on the beach.
It's gone all midsummer.
Yeah, yes, it really does. And we meet this cast of characters on the beach. So we're just sort of briefly introduced
and there's like
to
punch,
different people.
They're barn dancing, they're playing things.
There's a pig on a spit.
There is a pig. And actually, was it a pig? I think it was like a half cow.
I don't know. There was
like a quarter cow.
Some form of meat on a spit.
Because it didn't have a head or legs. So I thought it must have been a big.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And they did have cows in it later. There's a lot of cows.
They do talk about cows. Yes, it's probably
I mean, it is important that we work out what kind of meat was in this 1 second shot.
Well, it is important because they offer meat to Moustache Man who says, no, I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat meat.
And I'm like, so
he's not into
meat. In the 70s, fucking taboo.
Yeah, right.
He might have been fucking animals.
Well, like, they probably would have been like, gay.
Yeah.
Vegetarian, gay. You
they
know.
would have been, but they would have been like, ooh.
Yeah.
He swings all both ways.
Yeah.
Hey, this guy doesn't eat meat. And they're all like, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Put your keys in this bowl, buddy.
Yeah. But there's only my keys in this bowl. Yeah, there is.
You know it.
We all have sex with you. Anyhow.
So we're also introduced to a character called Marsha.
Which I called Sexy Hippie Witch.
I kind of called her Red Sonja.
Red Sonja.
I don't know why.
She's got, even though she had black hair, she's like a poor man's Elvira. She's like the Royal Adelaide show Elvira.
She's the Wish Elvira.
She is like, the horror, the ghost train, carnival ride Elvira that's standing out the front where you're like, yeah, I can see that they're trying to be a horror lady, but she hasn't really got it.
She's not doing it for me. She's no Elvira. But she does hit on poor man's Tom Atkins.
Yeah, Moustache Man can't,
he's feeling a bit funny about it, but you know that there's some movement down there.
But he's also like, I'm here with my wife.
Yeah, I'm married.
Yeah. She's like, try the punch.
Yeah, punch. And of course, she starts yelling at the doctor about his book. She's like, do not show this book to my brother. Like, your crackpot theories. So he's a crackpot to the people on his colony.
Yeah.
And he's a crackpot to the people on TV, but he's also a very well-established doctor that everyone
It's just like, hey, you're living on my fucking colony for free. If you don't like it, fuck off.
Go away.
Yeah, anyhow, we're introduced to old guy. There's just an old geezer there. He's really old, and he's like all confused, and he's like, I want to fucking end it. I've been doing this for too long. I got to burn myself to death. And the doctor, the psychiatrist, and he causes a scene basically.
He does.
They're already lubing up their dicks and vaginas and boobs, ready for their orgy. And then old man comes and ruins it by trying to burn himself to death.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
They're like,
Dr. Loomis comes in and he just like talks him out of it.
Yeah.
He's like, go inside. By tomorrow morning, you will feel better that you didn't burn to death.
That's right. Don't mind him. He's crazy.
I clearly didn't fix him. He is the standout failure of this community.
His colony is just all the people that he couldn't fix.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's got to keep it secret from everyone else.
Yeah, call him. Take all my failures and put them in one side. Anyway, we cut to nighttime.
Yeah.
Karen and Moustache Man are in bed asleep. Karen has one of those fucking dreams.
Yeah.
It involves the old guy going, burn to death, burn to death.
Bah!
So straight away, I was like, okay, so they've been seeding all these ideas. So I was like, okay, so obviously the werewolves can burn to death. Because this is clearly about werewolves. The fucking movie's called The Howling. There is no secret. Although, at the end, three-quarters of the way into the film, I was watching this as usual with my mum, because mum's there
I love it. Yep.
looking after my baby while I'm watching the film. And she's just like, are they werewolves? And I'm like, it's called The Howling, Mum. What did you think they were? And she goes, haven't really been paying attention.
That just sounds exactly like what my mum would do.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Anyway, Karen has a bad dream. She wakes up. She hears a wolf howling and freaks out. Oh my God, who would have thought there's fucking wolves in the outback?
In the forest.
The forest.
So she wakes up Bill and he's just like, "Meh, it's just a dog, go back to sleep." But of course we get this POV shot of something walking up to the bungalow.
But then she like gets up.
Yeah.
And walks outside with a torch. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Why would you not just get up and walk outside with a torch when you hear a wolf howling? It's just seems like a good idea.
Well, the thing is like she gets up and the window's open. I think my thing would be maybe I'll just close the window.
Close the window because it's cold. Anyhow, she hears a wolf and she just runs back inside. End of scene. Or is it? We see fucking creepy young redneck from earlier on.
Yeah.
The brother of fucking
Marsha.
half-assed Elvira.
Yeah.
In the bushes watching it all like.
Yeah.
And
he looks creepy.
And at first I thought, oh, that's the guy, the creep from the start.
No.
But it's not. No.
No, it's not. He's just some other messed out
they've
creep
just got
in
an
a
abundance
fluffy
of creeps.
jacket.
And yeah, what? And that's the end of that scene.
That is. That's
So she
pretty much
walks
it.
outside. We step back and look at it, and walks back inside. After going outside for no reason.
Yeah. So we cut to the next day, and Karen and another woman, Donna, she's kind of there. They're sort of playing tennis.
Donna is on.
She's part of the colony.
Yeah, she's part of the colony, and Donna has decided that Karen is her new best friend.
Yeah. She seems like the kind of woman that I would just not want to be around. She's actually like a woman in my building who thinks that we're best friends, but I don't actually know her name. But it's really annoying.
Have you skipped the bit with the TV reporters that go to the morgue?
No, not yet. That's
Okay,
coming up.
out, okay.
It's coming up.
Karen and Lady.
They're playing tennis and they meet the local sheriff because he just rocks down to watch women play tennis.
Who wouldn't?
Why not? And he's just like, oh, yeah, no, it's not wolves. It's like coyotes. Some coyotes out there. We're going to investigate. Don't worry. And then, so then we cut back to the journalists. They hit the morgue. They're trying to find some information out about the creep. And they're like, talking. And it's just one of those things. And they're like, oh, yeah, he's over here. Come check out the body.
Yeah. Like, no one,
Do you guys want to see dead body?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Stand by me. And they open the morgue. What are those things called?
Corpse drawer.
Corpse drawer, the things with the drawers that come out. And look, he's not in there. But the door is completely destroyed from the inside with gigantic claw marks into solid steel. And they're like, huh. Mm-hmm. Huh. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
That's peculiar.
And it's, that is peculiar. And now, then we cut to Karen.
Yep.
And the colonist lady, Donna. They have decided to go out into the woods at night.
Yes.
For no reason.
Well,
apart
they hear
from to
cows.
investigate what?
So they initially hear cows in the distance and then go, and then the cow sort of like the cow sounds turn into something not so cow-like.
But what are they even doing out there?
I don't know. They were maybe just sitting out there having a smoke. I don't know. There's no reason for them to be out there.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
Something was missing.
Anyhow, Karen and Donna go down. They find a dead cow. It's dead.
Batteries die. Shit.
Yeah, shit, this cow's dead.
But it's all right because the sheriff is just lurking about in the forest and
they
he's
just
like,
come up.
oh.
We're looking for cow rustlers.
It's like, this ain't no coyote. They basically established that this poor dead cow has not been killed by some coyotes. Something bigger and more violent must be in these woods.
Cut scene. Next, we go to Moustache Man. Next day, he's gone on a hunt with a bunch of the rednecks.
Yep. It's menfolk hunting.
And even though he's a vegetarian.
Yep.
He decides he is going to try and make mates with them. And creepy redneck goes with them as well, the guy that we saw wanking in the bushes earlier.
Yep.
And he exhibits very animal-like hunting abilities.
He's like the bloodhounds.
Yeah, and they're
he's
like...
sniffing something out.
Which is weird. Anyhow.
So while this is happening as well, like, we cut between them and Karen in a therapy session. So she's trying to remember the attack, what's happened. Everyone else in this group therapy session are trying to, like, what did you see? What did you see? And she just can't remember, so she starts freaking out and getting upset. Why wouldn't you?
And that's it. And nothing happens.
No.
As in, like, we still have not established that she is any closer to anything. Anyhow, cut to some nuns.
Yep.
There are some nuns in the city.
Yeah.
They're walking along and they go into a bookshop run by Mr. Futterman from Gremlins.
Dick Miller.
Dick Miller. As they say, if you don't know who Dick Miller is, he is Mr. Futterman. You know, the guy that gets killed by the snowplow but then doesn't get killed?
Yeah, because he's in the second one.
He's in the second one. He comes to New York and kills the gremlin with the bat gremlin with cement.
Yep. It's
Turns
great.
him into a gargoyle. The most likeliness of scenarios.
Yep. So Dick Miller, we soon discover he is our harbinger. He's the expert.
He's the expert. He runs an old bookshop of oddities, and he has every book known to man about everything. And they're just like, so, do you have a book on this? Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you warlocks, werewolves, demons. He's like, we've got this, we've got that, we've got dog embryos, we've got this. You want it? We've got it.
And then he lays down. So this is to the young reporters, the couple.
That's why
they're there, like, because they've obviously used their skills of looking at pictures of werewolves and decided to follow that lead. Mr. Futterman then lays down the werewolf rules in this world. He's just like, they can transform. Number one rule: they can transform whenever they want. Note that they don't need a full moon. And number two, silver bullets can kill them.
Yep.
Luckily, and then he mentions and foreshadows. Look at this box of silver bullets here that had the guy had me specially make. Went, how the fuck did your bookstore owner make silver bullets? Anyhow, there was a box of probably about 100 silver bullets.
Yeah, they're just there
on the counter.
It's whatnot.
Yeah, that's it.
But
then they borrow some books and they've got to do some research. They read out some stuff which makes them, the young reporters, think, maybe there is a werewolf. They're starting to believe.
We cut back to Bill. He's bagged himself a bunny because he's a big man shooting bunnies in the woods.
The most fearsome of all the nature's enemy creatures.
Exactly. You do know that. And he's basically like, oh, well, what are we going to do with it? And he's like, well, you got to eat it. It's a sin not to eat what you kill. Like, if you're otherwise, So they basically say, look.
And he's just like, go take it to my sister's house.
Take it to Marsha.
Marsha.
She'll prepare it and cook it up for you.
Half-assed hippie witch Elvira. She'll fucking get your rabbit up to date.
Oh,
up to date, not up the date.
She'll put your rabbit
And we go there. She's getting it ready. She just walks out to him, starts kissing the Moustache Man. He pushes it away. I'm a married man. And she's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's whatever. He just he's like, no means
he's like, no! And he runs out into the forest at nighttime. And then
now it's nighttime.
Now it's nighttime. And he gets bitten by a werewolf in the night.
Yes.
But a werewolf comes out. It's all very shadowed at this point. There hasn't really been a reveal of it, but it's clearly a werewolf. You can see it.
Yeah.
He gets bitten. He fights it off. I don't understand why he just didn't kill him.
No, I don't know at this point. So we cut to the doc. He's giving him a shot. Karen,
the next morning, he's in bed. He's
giving him a bit of a rabies shot or something.
Yeah.
Karen, she wants to leave, but Doc has started to advise against it. It's like, you're not going to want to leave now. He's been bitten by something.
Yeah, not with a wound like that. You can't leave. Like, yes, you can.
Can you walk?
He runs around for the rest of the movie. He could have just left. Okay, but the doctor says, no.
You can't go. We cut back to the two journalists in bed. They're watching Wolfman because, of course, you would be watching Wolfman while investigating werewolves. And they get a call from Karen. She's explaining that Bill's been bitten by a werewolf. Oh, by a wolf, not a werewolf.
I think they said an animal.
Yeah, and then so...
I don't want to allude to wolves too much. Or maybe they did say wolf here. Doesn't matter.
Maybe. And the female journalist decides that she is going to head up and meet Karen.
Yeah, while young male, he goes, I'll stay here and keep researching. You go and see Karen. Because they're best mates. We didn't know that until this point.
They're all best mates.
We get a shot of Karen and Donna and Moustache Man hanging out. And he's chowing down into the rabbit that he ate.
Yeah, he's chowing down on something.
They're like, we thought you were veggie. And he goes, well, this is really good.
When there's nothing else to eat, and he's just like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, so, oh my God, he's changing. He's changing.
He's eating meat now. That, to me, indicates that there is something animalistic inside him.
So, we cut to, that's it. That night, Karen has another fucking dream sequence, and she wakes up to an empty bed.
Oh, no.
Where is Moustache Man? Where could he be?
He's taking a walk in the woods.
He's in a trance. He's in a Moustache Man trance.
That moustache trance, I tell you
the
what.
The moustache has taken over like Ron's moustache in
Dungeons and Daddies.
Yeah.
Yep, and he meets up with Marsha. There is a fire roaring, and they meet up, and they start to...
She disrobes. She gets her cans out and her vajuju.
She does. We get a lot of everything.
And I was like, I know this is probably bad of me to think, but I'm like, did they just hire a porn star? because she was very. It's like that's all she was there for.
Oh yeah, she was there for just titties.
Like get your gear off.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's why she's in it. Yeah, and she had that vibe of like a 70s porn star.
She did.
And they do the doggy style.
Yeah, they start sort of making out, and then they start sort of transforming. There's some teeth, there's some eyes, there's some fur, there's back scratching and
Karen wakes up again in her bed alone, and she can hear some. Little does she know, she can hear their lovemaking, but they're wolves. Like, woo-hoo-hoo!
Yeah, and it's animated as well. You get that one little snippet of this animated of two wolves fucking.
Yeah, but then we get cuts back to them banging, and they've turned into full werewolf people.
Yeah.
Marsha, whatever the name. What's her name?
Her name's Marsha.
Marsha, like, hippie chick, Elvira lady. She's turned into a werewolf, and they're banging away, and that's it.
Yep. The female journalist, she's also woken up by the howls, but she grabs her tape recorder and starts recording it.
Yeah, this is all.
Yeah.
None of the shit mattered.
No.
Like she recorded the wolfy sounds.
Well, it makes sense to her because the next day, while she's sitting on the shoreline making notes, playing back the recording, she looks around and then she starts hiking her way back up the hill.
And obviously you're like dun 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 that she is in the same place that her original Ocean Vista drawing was.
It's crazy.
And then she also at that point goes, wow, that's weird. Then she comes across a cabin straight away.
Yeah, literally just a random cabin in the woods. I don't know if it belonged to Marsha because it didn't look like her cabin.
No, this wasn't Marsha.
This is like a different cabin.
So she goes into this cabin and there is a room and it's full of all the same drawing styles as the first. So it's obviously the cabin of the original creep. So he was there.
He was at the colony. Yeah, it's weird. We get this so as she's finding this, this weird fog is just randomly rolling in as well, and we see
day fog. This is daytime, by the way.
This is day fog.
Day fog.
There's nothing more dangerous than bunnies and day fog.
True.
But we also get this sort of very 1950s-esque moment where we know something's following her because we get this wolf hand just sort of go on screen and just sort of push aside a branch.
Appear. So she's in a small room, which could honestly be it could be like a developer room, a photography developer room. It's very small.
Yeah.
It's not that, but it's a dead end room. And then all of a sudden out of that room comes the werewolf is in that room. And she locks him in that room. How did he get in there? Yeah. There were no doors or anything into it. And it just showed him outside the house. Was she looking at the photos and he just slided in behind her? Came in the one door, went to the behind her and then hid in a shadowed corner?
Yeah, I'm sure if we play it back in slow motion, you'll just see him against the wall, just sliding across. You can't see.
Don't touch her. Don't breathe. Don't breathe in. Be thinner. Yeah. Anyhow, he jumps out. She fucking jumps out the window.
Yep. She grabs an axe.
A small axe.
And she just decides rather than running full pelt back into the forest, she's going to hide under the house where his arm...
Oh, no, she hides into the wood nook of the house. It's a bit where you put the wood under it so it doesn't get wet.
Yeah.
When you're chopping wood.
Yeah.
And which is why the axe... Anyway, the werewolf for some reason comes from the other side of the open-ended room.
Didn't it come through the floor?
But there's an open-ended room.
I don't know.
It's just a little thing that they've built. He could have come in there. He didn't.
No.
He came from a different direction and she chops his arm off with the axe.
Yep.
Which is great. This is a good one. It was on-screen dismemberment.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the arm. We see the axe hitting the arm. It's pulling away. We see the chunky arm on the ground, which is very a la Evil Dead. That kind of vibe I got out of it. That. And I was like, oh, sick. This is great. This is fucking an hour into the film now, and this is the first kind of real horrorness, that prosthetic horror that we've got.
Yep. So the wolf sort of runs off into the wilderness, and we are left to see the female journalist watching this arm
twitch around, which is good because it's clearly a real hand under the ground.
Yeah.
They've got the stump, a fake stump, and it's
a
wolf hand, and then it bubbles up, and so this bubbling thing So it's, they're pushing air into latex and bubbling it up kind of thing. The effects guy on this, I got told this earlier on in the week by a listener of the show, Adam Gillespie.
Yep.
That this is done a lot in this film, and this is also a very textbook effect technique used by the guy that did American Werewolf in London.
Yep.
And what I found out is apparently the American Werewolf in London effects guy,
Rick Baker,
he was on this film, and he was working on it, and it was just about to start, and then suddenly American Werewolf in London came up with the job, and he's like, I'm just gonna go over there and do this job. And he left his assistant to do all the effects in here. And you can really, really tell that the assistant had been taught how to do a couple of these effects.
Yeah.
Which Rick Baker used a little bit of in American Werewolf in London. But this guy just went ham on this one effect. So every effect in this film involves the bubbling thing. So we can see this whole arm bubbling, and then it turns back into a human arm, which I thought was a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, it was cool. I liked it.
To show this reporter that, But she's still not convinced at this point.
No.
She's been attacked by a werewolf in broad daylight.
Yep.
She's chopped it off. She's seen the transformation go backwards. Do you think it's a werewolf?
Don't know.
I'm
still not convinced.
Anyhow, that was kind of cool. That's probably the coolest bit in the film, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't think of anything better. But it's so funny that guy went on to do American Werewolf in London and get like all the effects awards, and everyone remembers that film, and it's just like, so this is. And then he bailed on them, so they just would have been like, motherfucker, we could have had that.
Well, I mean, this film was also very highly praised for its special effects of its time, so...
Yeah, fair enough.
It's kind of like that episode of The Simpsons where he's like, look at this grill. Why doesn't mine look like that? This is exactly the same kind of deal. So the young journalist lady, she gets up and runs in. Seemingly, she runs out of shot. Next shot, she's in the doctor's office. Why didn't she just fucking run there in the first place instead of stopping? She is in the doctor's office. She gets on the phone and she calls her co-worker, young journalist man, and lays down the story to him. Mm-hmm. You know, it's all true. It's all true. There's werewolves, etc., etc., etc. Anyhow, whilst we're cut to Moustache Man gets busted by Karen for cheating on her. Yeah, because he walks in with his shirt off and she's like, oh, where did you get those scratches? And he starts gaslighting her. Like, out of it, rather than being like,
gaslighting, he fucking hits her.
He does. He fucking smacks her. And I'm like, you fucking... Tom Atkins would never do that.
Yeah, Tom Atkins would never bash a lady.
No.
So he bashes her for busting him for cheating on her.
Yeah, what a fuckhole.
Yeah, I know. Well,
he deserves the worst death.
I
don't know.
But then we cut back to the young lady reporter still in the room. She finds some files, which we can only assume is the evidence we need to bust this fucking werewolf crime ring open.
I know, but what I love about this so much is because she's on the phone to him and she's like, I think the doc's in on it as well. And he's just like, is there a filing cabinet there? Look in the filing cabinet.
Is there a filing cabinet?
Like, of course there's a fucking filing cabinet.
She finds the proof. It's the MacGuffin or whatever. Unfortunately, when she's finding the proof, a werewolf just rocks up behind her.
This is my favorite bit as well, though, because like she's just going through this filing cabinet and she does not notice this giant, 7-foot werewolf
lumbering mass
walking. It would smell real bad as well. Just walk over to her and reach over and pick up the file that she's looking at, and she's just like, "Oh, hello, fucking what?" I love it.
Anyway, she turns around. Oh fuck! There's a werewolf in here, and basically they wrestle for a while.
Yeah, and it's happening over the phone as well, so he can hear this whole thing happening. There's growls and her screaming, and he's like, "Are you okay? What's happening?"
Sounds like there's a gigantic werewolf attacking you. And yeah, the werewolf, does it strangle her?
So
it just kills her. It kills her off. It's not satisfying. It's just kind of like
it's basically got her by the neck.
But it doesn't really show you.
No, this is a perfect opportunity to see either a
neck rip back.
A neck rip or a neck bite
or
a face bite.
Gouge.
Something. But
anything.
Basically
You're just showing a dismemberment.
Lifts her up and then she's just like, oh, she's dead.
Yeah, she's dead.
And the camera pans over Doc's files and we see that he's been studying the transformation of man to beast.
Oh, is that what I didn't see that.
You didn't even see that?
So I assumed that werewolf was the doctor.
Okay.
That's what I assumed when I was watching this bit. And I cut back to report a young boy. He has gone to Mr. Futterman's shop and he has bought the silver bullets.
Oh, he didn't even buy them. He just grabbed them.
Oh, did he?
He just grabbed them and run. He's like, wait. He's like, bill me.
Bill me.
Yeah.
Because bill me? What does that mean? I don't know who you are. Anyhow, Karen, she rocks up into the doctor's office. She's like, I got to go talk to the doctor that my husband is cheating on me.
She's gone to use the phone because there's the only one phone in this whole fucking colony and it's in the doctor's office.
Yeah, and she finds dead lady journalist.
Yeah.
She's like, fuck, that was my friend, wasn't it?
She finds her friend with her throat ripped out. So we have this split second of gore moment where we see the throat kind of seemingly
I
ripped
think it was
out.
bleeding a bit out of it
Yeah,
as well.
just a
It was
little-
kind of good. I like that effect. It was nice.
She still could have walked out. It would have been fine.
Golf clap. Golf clap to
Yeah,
those
golf
guys.
clap. Yep, yep.
And then out of the blue comes the creep. He's just there.
Yeah, he's like lying on a table all of a sudden.
Yeah, he
So
was
I'm
like making out
thinking-
he was a cadaver. I'm like, why would a psychiatrist have a cadaver in his office?
But I'm kind of under the impression, and correct me if I'm wrong, so she walks over seeing her friend on the table.
Yeah, and then he turns into her.
So he's like, he was shapeshifting as her because when
Oh.
Karen turns around and looks at him standing there, her friend is like against the desk on the floor.
What I thought happened is that Karen went to look at something else. He got the body, put it on the ground, got on the bed,
Yeah.
hidden it, and then even though she wasn't looking, he sat up for his own amusement. That's like to say, oh, this would have been a sick movie part. That's what it looked like.
I really want to see a movie where the killer, it's like that like video that you see of like how Michael gets everywhere and it's just like off screen and he just starts like running everywhere. I really want to see all these
And like calms down, like in
he's like-
between. Okay, go.
I want to see all this setup. Like,
But that's what it looked like. Yeah. Anyhow,
yeah, okay.
it's the creep. He come and then he's like, "Hello, Karen," from behind, and she turns around. She saw none of that.
No, she was completely unaware. Takes her by surprise.
And then we get, without a doubt, he talks her up a bit. We get the longest werewolf transformation scene in the history of film, which is probably why and like it goes through. So he starts to transform. We get the bubbling of his skin. Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. Like, at any time she could just run out.
Yeah.
This is like a 5-minute transformation.
This goes on. Like this really
And every
goes
bit we
on.
see like little bits, like hands slowly getting like longer. We see like just like every time it cuts to her shocked face and back to him, it's progressed along.
Yeah.
So you don't actually see the progression that much. You just see cuts between the transactional bits.
Yeah.
We see a little bit of like elongating of the nose into a snout, but nothing rad like Werewolf in London where it's like,
No.
"Whoa,"
No.
coming out, and in Werewolf in London, the stretching of the hands and all shit like
we
that.
don't see any of it. A lot of
But
it
like,
is...
there is a lot of it.
Yeah,
And
there's
there's
so
a lot
much
of
of
changing and a lot of stuff, but you just don't. It's like,
This
I
is-
get it, and it looks like he did transform, but there's nothing satisfying about it.
No, it has a very... And I mean, in saying that, the Wolfman transformation for like the original Universal Monsters Wolfman film is better than this. I
calling
apologize.
it?
I'm calling it. But I mean, this is still like, this is clearly this guy's like kind of first real film working on effects, and he really wanted to go for it. And like, I couldn't do it. Good for him.
Yeah, it was good, but he did go overboard with the bubble
went
effect under the skin.
Far too long.
It went for fucking ages. It went for so long.
It went for so long. And then Karen just seemingly throws like a jar of urine at
Karen
him.
like backs away and like, hits a desk. Her hand touches something. She looks down. Oh, it's a vial of hydrochloric acid in a psychiatrist shop in an office, because you need that.
Yep.
Because like when
Well, every doctor's office needs that.
so she fucking zoinks this yeets this hydrochloric acid into this wolf's face, and he's like, fuck.
And he's like, oh, that real hurt.
And then she just runs out, and I'm like, fair enough.
She runs away. She tries to get in a car, but is apprehended by... Is it the sheriff or just another, like, I think it's a rancher. He's like some guy that's also on the colony, and he kind of like tends to the cows or something.
Yeah, he was
I
in the
don't
cow scene earlier. He's just
Yeah.
another guy.
No.
He's
and
just another guy
just
on the colony.
Some guy, and he and a couple of other people lead her to a barn that is full of bones.
Yeah, I said decked out in horror stuff.
Yeah, it basically looked like the Texas Chainsaw
Yeah, the
Massacre
hanging
holiday
bone.
house.
Yeah, it's like the, when they want to get away. When they're like,
this
you know
is-
what, it's hot where we are. Let's get to the forest, cool down a bit.
get back to
Let's
nature.
decorate this barn up.
Yeah.
Get fucking Leatherface in here. Get him to,
just-
juice it.
Yeah, we don't, he's been working with chicken bones. Let's give him some, cow
Get him to
bones.
queer eye this place.
Yeah.
Make sure he's
I'm sure
got
he's
his
got a-
mother's skin on though.
Well, I'm sure he's got a queer eye face somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No,
fine.
it's when he's in Texas Chainsaw Next Generation. He has to
Yeah.
wear the sexy lady so he can zhuzz the place up. That's what he does when he hangs some chicken bones, hangs some. Anyhow, they're in the juiced up barn. Oh, the colony is there. Karen's
Everybody
like, what
is
the
there.
fuck, motherfuckers? What am I? I'm in a barn.
Including the doctor.
There's red light. There's red lighting. I don't quite sure how they did that, but sure.
Yeah. And she kind of approaches the doctor and she's
like-
like,
she
help
thinks-
me. And he's
salvation.
No.
No, he's like,
He's just straight up no. But then they all sort of start bickering amongst themselves, about what they're going to be doing.
yeah,
with
and
her.
then sexy Elvira comes out and she's like, your time is over, fucking doctor. Is that
Yeah.
now? Or is that later?
It's kind of now,
They just all start arguing.
yeah,
They're not a
bitching
very well-maintained bunch. And she's
No.
going on about, you said we could, assimilate into society. We can't!
Yeah, it's
Even
it's
though
clearly,
she kind of does at the end.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Basically, we're ramping up to, the climax. They've got Karen in the barn. We see fucking Moustache Man there. And this is the end of Moustache Man's story.
Yeah.
This is his character had so much screen time, he just becomes one of the werewolves.
Pretty
and
much.
And it's not about we've got to get. I would have it should have been now we have to fuck you, and it would have been symbolic if her husband had to fuck her or some shit like that, some weird shit. Because they've already established there's a lot of rooting happening in this thing.
Well, that's the thing. You'd imagine that it would be him, and it would be that whole sort of Lost Boys vampire-esque thing where they're like, just come join us. This is great. We're...
Yeah, why don't they just bite her and she'll be a werewolf?
Yeah.
Like they did her husband. Anyhow, doesn't matter. Anyway, we cut to boy reporter. We see him speeding to the scene in his little car round the sweeping hills.
Yeah.
This is like a UK film.
He's on his way. It kind of is.
This is like an American werewolf in London.
So they're just filming it on the same set.
No, as in they're Americans in London.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
So he rocks up and he enters the doctor's office. And for some reason, there is now a tape recorder playing, and I think it's some kind of conversation.
It's the tape recorder playing.
Eddie breaks in. So the creep
Eddie the
rocks
creep.
in.
He's there.
And he grabs the gun from him. And then, but his face is kind of half burned off and skulled out because he's been hit with hydrochloric acid.
Yeah, he's all
And he's decomposing on the spot.
And the creep Eddie, he sees boy reporter with a gun. He's all like, fucking, you can't hurt me.
He literally just grabs it and then hands it back to him.
Because he goes go on, shoot me. You can't hurt me.
Yeah.
And then so boy reporter shoots him and he dies.
Yeah, because it's the silver bullets.
Yeah, but he should have said a line. He should have said something like, try these silver bullets on a size motherfucker.
Yeah,
and
not
Eddie could
even
have gone,
a
uh-oh,
quip.
and then shot him. Or something cool like that. But no, he just goes, ow.
But not just that,
He does a Buffy the Vampire Slayer, ow, out, and out of shot. Basically, that was it. I'm like, that's it?
Yeah.
He should have shot him in the head and his head exploded.
Well, it was such an opportunity because at that point, he was starting to transform. He was bubbling. He had that, big bubble in his neck.
He had a goiter.
He
like the one
had like in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, I was going to say in Seinfeld, the goiter.
Oh, the goiter, yes.
Yeah.
And so that, because
There's no reason for him to have
shot
that.
him there and he just kind of put his hand over it and it's just blood coming out. No, you would explode that shit. You'd want pus. You'd want this. You'd want slime everywhere. No.
Yeah, there was no reason for this big goiter either. I'm like, what's going on? Why does he have that?
Why has he got a goiter? Stop it. So they cut back to Karen. The group, they're planning to kill her, but...
They've all transformed as well.
But because she's
they're
a
all
journalist...
kind of just in the background dancing as werewolves. I'm like, why aren't they just bite her? Or if you're going to kill her. I don't understand their plan.
Well, they don't want to kill her. They've got to make it look
she's
like
too
an
high
accident.
a profile.
That's right. She's got a high profile. They got to make it look like an accident.
And I'm like, no, just change her.
Yep. So the journalist rocks up and then...
He basically just grabs her,
Yeah.
pulls her out of the barn.
And then they're all there standing there, and he, like, shoots the meth-looking dude. He dies. And the guy's like, no, it's fine. He'll get up in a second. I don't believe in your bullets. And the guy's like, okay, and shoots him, and he dies.
Yeah, he's just kind of shooting. He's just holding his gun. He's like, bang, you're dead.
Like
bang. They're all standing in a line out the front of their barn.
He shoots the duck as well. The duck's dead. So, yeah.
I missed that whole bit out in my notes.
It's fine. But, like,
they're all kind of, and he goes, try silver bullets.
Yeah.
He mentions that they've got silver bullets, and he's like, bullshit.
Yeah.
And then he shoots another one, and then he dies.
But somehow he manages to push them back into the barn.
He kind of, get in the barn.
Barricades them in. Then he starts pouring gas, and he lights that motherfucker up.
Yeah, he douses it in petrol, and he lights up the barn. Which we're supposed to assume kills them because earlier on they assumed that he was going to commit suicide. But they don't. It just shows, it's like that filming, it's like in Gremlins, you know, when they set fire to the picture theatre. Yeah. And it just cuts inside with all the Gremlins going, running around with fire effects in front of them.
Yeah.
It's basically that there. We see so I'm like, so he did it.
Yep.
Like, he locked all the werewolves in the barn. He set it on fire. That obviously kills them all, right?
No.
And then, so they jump, Karen and him run, and they jump into his Mazda RX-7, because I was like, hey, that's a Mazda RX-7.
Nice.
For fans of old cars, you'll know a Mazda RX-7. So in this would have been a sick car.
Yeah.
In like the 81, that would have been like, fuck yeah, I want a reporter's wage,
He's got journalist money.
But then all of a sudden, there's werewolves.
Yeah.
Jumping on the car and shit.
Well, because the sheriff's on the side of the road. He starts shooting.
No, this is before that. Like, they get in the car, and instantly there's a werewolf on the roof.
Yeah, that's right.
And Karen just someone shoots the werewolf off the roof, and I'm like, okay, so they just got out the barn.
Yeah.
So that was useless.
Yeah.
It didn't help.
No.
And we spent all that trouble finding petrol.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah, because he siphoned it from his car, because as they're driving down the road, the sheriff's there, starts shooting at them. They pull over, and then they get out of the car, and he starts shooting the sheriff. He shoots the sheriff.
Yeah, so the sheriff
then
is a
their
werewolf.
car blows up.
Yeah. He shoots the sheriff, which is also a werewolf. And then, because the sheriff, none of these guys get out the way of bullets. He just shoots him. Sheriff goes down dead. And then the reporter's car blows up.
Yeah.
Because,
I thought he siphoned the gas out of his own car and they run out of gas.
Well, the sheriff shot their front headlight out, and we all know American cars are ticking time bombs. So the car just blows up. So they just get straight into the cop car, which I'm like, why did you even need that bit?
Yeah, but then the cop car doesn't start. So then all of these werewolves start descending on the car and start destroying it like they're the alligator in fucking Alligator.
Yeah, and they just don't open it.
No. No. They've got opposable thumbs. They could be opening doors.
Also, they're fucking huge and tough. They can't break a car window.
Yeah,
like, humans can do that. Anyhow.
It's true.
They're just at the outside of the car going, we can't.
We can't get in.
The car's made of silver. We can't get in. Anyhow,
the car starts, they get away. But of course, one of them has gotten...
One of them worked out that you can just open a car door.
Yeah.
One of them's in the back seat.
And bites Karen.
On the shoulder.
Oh, no.
She just turns around and shoots it.
Yeah.
With a gun. And they drive off.
Except we learn that it was Bill that bit her.
Yeah, I didn't get that. It showed a tattoo that they must have referenced earlier in the film. They did reference,
it was Bill.
So they got dead Bill in the back.
Oh,
now.
Bill.
So, because you turn back into a human. So they've just got the corpse, the cadaver of her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Of her boyfriend in the back.
This looks strange, yeah.
Anyhow, as they're driving off, we get a voiceover. We have to warn people. We have to make them believe. That hard cut to Karen. She's back. She's back on the job.
She's
back
sitting
on
in the makeup chair. She's getting all zhuzhed up. She's ready to go on TV. She's ready to start.
And so we see young reporter boy there. He knows, so it's obvious that she's going to turn into a werewolf on TV, and everyone's going to go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyhow, she gets up there. She starts. She has a monologue.
Yeah, she starts reading an editorial. There's a secret society and wolves and blah.
And now she starts turning into a werewolf. She turns into a werewolf. She turns into a were-Pekingese. Like, it's not, she turns into
It looked like something from...
It's like, what would a female werewolf look like? It would look like a little dog.
It looked like Fizzgig from the fucking Labyrinth
Yeah,
or something.
it did. Or a lady version of the werewolf from Teen Wolf. Like, it was like, it had like no snout, so it was like, and a tiny little nose and mouth. It was like...
It's just a very dainty little wolf, but also like fucking Marsha when she was a wolf. She was like this big
she just
beastly
looked like
of a thing.
all the rest, but she's a... Who the fuck knows? Anyhow, Reporter Boy just comes in and shoots her on camera with a silver bullet and executes her.
Done.
But then it cuts to society, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's a great effect." Like,
it's like they cut to a bar and there's like, "Oh, that's goes to show you what special effects are capable of," and the guy's like, "Nah,
I reckon that was
she's
real."
a fucking wolf. Turn it a werewolf. They killed her.
And yeah, we cut to the end of the bar and we see a man buying a lady a drink, and it happens to be Sexy Hippie Witch. So I'm like, as in like out in society now, not in the colony. End.
Done.
That's the end. And I was like, what the fucking point of the whole film was there? All the characters died.
Yeah.
All the werewolves got away, and no one believed they were real. So the point of the film was...
Yep.
Your silence is my answer. Like, there was no point to any of it. Like,
no.
I mean, the only other character to survive was young Reporter Boy, who executed a person on television.
Yeah, so, I mean, his career's over.
What happened to... You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And at no point did they, like, ask where her husband was.
No. You'd think that there'd be, like, cops over everywhere and all this stuff. Like, because they were literally reporting on a fire, an out-of-control fire at the colony.
She was
thing.
at. And it's just like... Okay, I get it. You had some... It probably was great on paper. But it wasn't. And like you said, this movie was a success. Same year as American Werewolf from London came out. I'm like, that film fucking is... American Werewolf. Like, when you put these two next to each other...
Yeah.
It's so much better. Like...
Oh, yeah, like American Werewolf is obviously, definitely the superior film. I mean, like, this one holds its place. It's clearly got a cult following over the years, and that's
it only
fine.
had one good gore scene, in my opinion. That was the arm chop off. That was like traditional like gore horror, and then it kind of had that transformation scene, which went for 40 minutes. I mean, even when they threw like, and then like when they're killing the werewolves at the end, they're just like, they never killed a werewolf. The only werewolf they killed in werewolf mode was the husband at the end that you couldn't see what was happening.
And you didn't
All
even
the rest
see
were
it.
people that weren't transformed yet. That were
They
like,
just had teeth.
oh, they had some teeth, yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel that, you know, obviously this guy, it was like the special effects guy, it was his time to shine. And he was really going to, like, use this film to prove himself. And I get that and I respect that. Like, it has not held up.
I mean, it's structurally a good film.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It kind of makes sense. Like, you know, there's just so much, like, you know, like half the film was just chasing a serial killer. And before they even got to the colony, it was just like, okay.
There could have been so much more investigating in the colony as well. And I think, well, because this is based, like, The Howling is actually a novel.
It probably worked out really well in a novel. Like that.
Yeah. So I think there was probably a lot more. And apparently they were saying, I think, that The Howling, because there's like 6 more movies. There's 6 movies in the Howling franchise. I think, like, the 4th one they were saying is basically just a redoing of the book. And it just stays very close to the book. But I don't know. I haven't read the book.
I'm not going to watch it.
No, I'm fine.
You're fine.
Yeah, I'm going to keep living my life.
What else do you think?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, for me, it was just like a normal sort of, that was lacking in horror, but also we're still in that period of time where we haven't quite delved into being able to show as much gore and blood and this and that. Like, this is the time where it's really sort of kicking off and starting, because like everything else, like the late 70s, you've got the exploitation films, which aren't heavily into gore, but they've got a lot of like questionable stuff.
The dismemberment scene.
Yes,
for a lot of
this
people.
is for its time. This is definitely, like, obviously held up as one of those terrifying kind of films.
But think about American Werewolf the same year. There's heaps of gore in that.
Oh, there's like, so much gore in that.
Even like the dude who's following him, like, he's rotting mate and shit. Like, yeah, like, crazy. And like you look at American Werewolf, and they don't seem the guys in it, they don't seem like 1970s dudes.
Yeah.
They dress kind of normally. It doesn't feel like it's an early, like a late 70s film, where this one feels like a mid 70s film. Like all these people look
really
real
does.
old, and there's turtlenecks and like fucking. There's a lot of beige suits and shit like that, or like fucking sweaters. Like what do they want? Sleeveless sweaters.
Yeah, the puffy jackets.
Yeah, and shit like that. It looks real dated. Where American Werewolf, which I mean, I keep bringing it back to that, but
that's the standard of comparison for any werewolf film.
But it made 17 times what it cost or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's a massive success.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being too hard on it.
So The Howling is basically the Cursed of the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I enjoyed it. So I gave this a F. It's fun and dumb.
Well, they made 6 of these.
They did.
They only made 2 werewolves in London. True. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe I don't know what the statistics for American Werewolf in London were. Like
I think it's a lot higher.
It is?
Oh, definitely.
Good. But yeah.
What did you give it?
What did I give it? I gave it a whatever, a W. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like.
Okay. Would you think that you'll find yourself watching this again in the future?
No,
will you revisit?
Never. I'll never go back to this film ever again.
Okay.
Not because I hated it.
You've seen it.
It just didn't. It didn't move any blood into my groin whatsoever at any point in watching it.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I need a lot of blood moved around for me to rewatch something.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah, like I say, I gave it an F. It was fun and dumb. I'd probably rewatch it again, but not. It wouldn't end up in a heavy rotation of something I'd just watch.
Fair enough.
Kind of deal.
Fair enough. Now,
next week, it's me. I've got to choose something, and I have not even considered.
Choose one of my films.
All right.
No, you got heaps of films.
I do have heaps of films, but fuck it. Let's watch Army of Darkness.
Oh, yeah. Good one.
Yeah. So next week next spoilercast, we will be watching Army of Darkness.
This is going to be an easy one for me. I could basically do my notes without watching it.
Well, that's all right. You will be fine.
Excellent.
Yes. But before we sign off, we'd just like to take a moment to thank the listeners who have interacted with us over the past fortnight in one way or another. People like Adam Kister, Patrick Roberts, Adam Gillespie, and Andrew Hector.
And I had a live Adam Gillespie chat. He came into my shop we had a chat about this. So he had the podcast before the podcast.
Oh.
And I said, you're just going to have to listen to all of this shit, my opinions, again on the podcast.
So basically he should be paying you because that was like a Patreon episode.
Oh, shit.
He got a live Patreon episode. But anyway, you have been listening to TerrorVision Horror Podcast with Dan and Jennifer. We are available on all major podcasting services and also on the YouTubes. But no matter where you choose to consume us, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment or a review, and make sure you share it with all your friends. You can interact with us on both Facebook and Instagram at TerrorVision Pod. It'll keep you up to date with upcoming episodes, trivia, and memes that are 100% 3 years old by now. We also have a website. I am getting back into doing some writing, so it's not great, but, every so often I'll post something, go read it, learn something, or don't. I don't care.
And until next time, may all your dreams be nightmares. Oh!